double by now. Every time, I gotta imagine when you see these presentations on time to double your revenue base or your client base, I've been in these rooms. It's probably met with a little bit of skepticism, like, yeah, can I really do that this year? And I guess in following that presentation, I have to say just 3 words. It's what Lynn said. And it's true. And that's all I have. So thank you. No, there's more.
These are the new leads. These are the Glengarry leads. And to you, they're gold. And you don't get them. Why? Because to give them to you is just throwing them away. They're for closers. I wish you good luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it.
Okay, that's the job in front of us. I know that probably scares the daylights out of us. And just, also, this presentation is going to have terms about the wall and about extreme vetting in it, too. I'm not kidding. It's not what you think, but I think he does a pretty good trump. So we're on the same theme here, keeping with doubling your income. So those of you who have worked with us or have seen how we work and how we operate in a market have probably seen this before. I've done this little bit a couple of times, and this is our prospecting model, at least the way it existed traditionally. There's really 2 criteria, very simple criteria, that you can apply to any DMA when you look at all the possible businesses that you could connect with, that you could build a relationship with. Okay, there's 2 questions that we ask. The first question is, what are the chances that they're going to say yes? Is there a good chance they're going to say yes to us, or not so good? And I always use the example of if I go into an auto dealership and a bike shop on the same day, the auto dealership is 2 to 3 to 5 times more likely to say yes than the bike shop, okay? Pretty blunt example. On that same vein, if I do hear a yes from either one of those or from both of those, what size is the yes going to be? From the auto dealership or from the bike shop? And again, sorry to be so blunt, but the auto dealer is going to spend a magnitude of 10, if not 100, what the bike shop would, okay? Very basic stuff. And then where we operate, and where we've always operated, is the intersection of those 2 criteria. They say yes, they say it a lot, and when they do say yes, it's an emphatic yes. And that has yielded what we call that sweet spot of retail, of service industry within our market, that were perfect television clients, okay? We know what those businesses are. I'm not going to belabor that point. It's automotive, it's home services, financial, healthcare, legal, and so on. And then what Lynn says is, okay, here comes 2017. So there aren't 2 times as many auto dealers in my market or home service companies, and we're looking at this wall in front of us. How am I going to double my client base? How am I going to double what I did and manage all of that? But not only how am I going to double that, how am I going to make it worth my time? I don't just want to work twice as hard. I want to make sure I'm getting more yeses and more emphatic yeses. So there is a wall. You've probably heard this a lot, and they're building one now, I hear. There's a wall we have to jump over. Lynn started describing that wall. This is the wall. This is our 2017 wall that we're jumping over. And some of you have jumped over it already. Actually, this photo is from our ROI 2016 conference when they announced they were refilling the sushi boat. So, but we're all jumping over a wall. We're in new territory. And a lot of us are wondering, okay, who's my next client going to be? I've got the auto dealer, I've got the credit union, I've got manufacturers. I've never talked with one of them before. How does that work? So we need to rely on data. And what I did, and what we've done for a lot of the markets that we work with, is we look at business data. When Adam said we don't do CNAs, what he meant was we're doing a market CNA to see what's in that market. Are we talking to the right businesses when we go to market with you. So I took a small market, just as an example, to sort of sandbag a little bit to give you a sense of what the data is telling us. And again, you're allowed to be skeptical, but this isn't conjecture, it's not hyperbole, this is data that's been verified within a market between market size 50 and 100. I'm going to keep it anonymous somewhat. The criteria that I applied to that was, let's look for all businesses in that market that are earning $50 million or more on an annual basis, okay? You might think, oh, that's going to really limit how many businesses I can go after. I want to make sure the business is verified. In other words, it's been called, it has a physical address in my DMA, it's got a business owner. It's not a phantom business, it's here in town. And there are systems and products that do that for you, by the way. So in this market, let's say it's around number 75 on the DMA scale, there are 241 businesses that pass that criteria, that are earning $50 million or more in our marketplace. So right away I see potential. And by the way, that sort of lines up with the numbers that Lynn just had up on the screen in terms of how many clients do we really need to go after. And this is passing through some extreme vetting, if you will. We're not letting anyone just sift through. We want a real tangible business located here in town with a business owner that's earning a high income. There's a threshold there that we're looking for. So when I looked at this market and I said, okay, how many of those 250 or 240 businesses were actually in that wheelhouse that we're comfortable with? So looking at those big 7 retail numbers, in other words, 89 of the businesses in this market, in this small market, were your traditional retail type businesses, your auto dealers, your credit unions, your banks that are located in that town, in that DMA, in those counties. Lawyers, the big lawyers in town. Altogether, those 89 businesses earn about $8 billion. So you can do the math to figure out what the per company revenue is, the scope of each company, if you will. And their estimated ad spend based on those categories, using the math that we've been using for about 30 years now, is $275 million. That's money that is traditionally in our marketplace and that we've been fighting over. And now we're jumping over the wall. And we're saying, is this wall too tall for us? Is this going to be worth the jump? And the answer is yes. When Lynn talks about doubling your client base, every market that we look at, the number in the right or in the far right column is always higher than the number in the left column. And that's obvious to us because we always complain there's only so many credit unions in my market, or all the auto dealers are listed or carded already. So in this little market, there are 152 businesses that are, by the way, over $50 million in revenue on an annual basis. Their combined annual revenue is about $20 billion, so not the $8 billion of the retail market. And who knows what they spend. Even at a 1% ad to sales ratio, that throws another $200 million our way, if my math is right. And we know not every business spends just 1%, okay? Suffice it to say, what Lynn was talking about, not only does it have to happen, we have evidence all over the place that it is happening. We see it happening. Her mention of hitting hard on the manufacturer side of the business, you're going to hear a lot of that over these 3 days. These non-traditional areas, these larger businesses with multiple sites that, oh, by the way, are headquartered in my market and want bigger spends across bigger territories. So the double up is there. So, okay, show me the money, but show me how do I get at that money? Well, if you have a library card, you have access to all of this information. Most library systems have business databases right on their site. That is, if you don't have something already in-house at your station, within your company. Lists, third parties that you can use. Reference USA is another one. Some of us use BizBoard. These are all prime examples of prospecting tools where I can, like Lynn went to Google, I can go in and set my thresholds, my criteria, what do I want to see, just like I did with that simple bubble chart to start. Are they going to say yes? And are they going to give me an emphatic yes? But now I'm saying, have they been verified? All right, is it a true business in my market? Is there a business owner's name? Is it this big on an annual basis? And set that threshold high. Try to surprise yourself. Don't set it at 10 million, set it at 50 million if you're a small market. Set it at 100 million if you're a mid-size. Set it at 250 if you're a large market. And watch what comes back. You can always adjust it downward, but I'm going to say you're probably going to come up with that same number. Wow, there's 250 businesses in my market that I may not have known could be spending a lot of money in advertising. And you know what they want? Right now, they're all looking around for help with their advertising. They're doing a little DIY, they've got an agency, they're not sure if the agency gets their business model. What they really want is someone right there. They want that local affinity of someone that they can scream at and say, what is going on with my campaign? Or someone to pat on the back to say, what is going on with my campaign? Wow. That local tie-in this year in that 2017 version of you is one of your undeniable biggest assets. And here's the data to back that up. These businesses are in your marketplace. Just a couple other points about what we call extreme vetting. We didn't coin the term. Someone else did, I think. A lot of the systems and a lot of the services that are out there do some of this for you. So, for example, Reference USA, some of you have that service. If you don't, you can go to your library and use that service. They verify a lot of this for you already. They have the physical address verified. They have the phone number verified. They make 20 million phone calls a year to make sure these businesses have real live people at it. You want to have an owner name, obviously, and you want to have a revenue threshold. Make that wall higher because, to Adam's point, it's about what is my hourly wage really worth? I want to go over a taller wall. I don't want to waste that time. It's precious to me. That's your only inventory. So use it wisely. And just in wrapping up, and maybe a bit of a shameless plug, in developing what is going to be the next generation of our training program, which we're calling ESA Lift, part of the expectation out of that program, and it's geared more towards newer developmental mindsets, okay? Part of the expectation out of that is going to be this. We need to set them on a path to say, here are some businesses that are in your neck of the woods that probably no one's connecting with right now. And here's the tools to get it done. Now, everyone in the room can do that. But getting back to my original point, absolutely what Lynn said, and here's the evidence to back it up. So, sorry to make you see double so early, but this is where we're heading in 2017. So let's jump over that wall together. Now I'm going to bring up Adam Armbruster, who's got a great introduction with this.